Hi guys, today we will complete section 4.5, the serial expression in detail. In the previous sessions, we start to explain the steps or the stages of the serial expression, and we said that serial expression occurs through three different stages. The first one, glycolysis, and then Krebs cycle and electron transport chain, etc. But you must know that glycolysis process occurs before cellular respiration, and the cellular respiration includes two main stages. The first stage, or the first main part of cellular respiration, is Krebs cycle, and the second main part of cellular expression is electron transport chain. And we already finished the Krebs cycle in the last session. Today we are going to explain the electron transport chain. So let's start with some informations will help you to study this part easily, inshallah. The first point, you must know that electron transport chain is the second main part of the cellular expression. And second point, this process takes place through the inner mitochondrial membrane, and it's similar to the electron transport chain which occurs during photosynthesis process. So as with electron transport chain in photosynthesis process, proteins make, you must know that the proteins channels inside the structure of membranes, whether it mitochondrial membrane in case of cellular expression, or thylakoid membrane in case of photosynthesis process. Both of them proteins make up the electron transport chain. So in the cellular expression, the proteins for making this chain used energy from the electrons carrier, and we know that the electrons carrier we study three examples: NADH and NADBH, again NADH and NADPH and FADH2. But NADH and FADH2, the carrier of electrons during the electron transport chain through respiration process, cellular respiration process, but NADPH is the carrier of electrons through electron transport chain in case of photosynthesis process. And finally, you must know that oxygen is needed at the end of this process for the protection of water as a waste product. So what are the steps of electron transport chain of cellular respiration? It starts with the electrons removed. This means the proteins inside the mitochondrial membrane takes the high energy electrons which carried by NADH and FADH2. Proteins channels used 2 molecules of NADH and 1 molecule of FADH2. And then the next step, the hydrogen ions which already taken in the first step, transported in the second step. So the high energy electrons travel through the proteins inside the structure of mitochondrial membrane, and proteins used this energy from the electrons to make a pumping, or to pump the hydrogen ions across the inner membrane to produce, which means chemosmotic gradient, which means the difference, as you can see, in the both sides of the mitochondrial membrane, inside and outside. So this the meaning of chemosmotic gradient. And the third step, the production of ATP. So the hydrogen which is diffused in the last step from outside to inside the mitochondrial membrane diffuse. So the inner mitochondrial membrane and enzyme used for making ATP, this enzyme called ATP synthase. This ATP synthase function is adding of phosphate group to ADP, which change into ATP again. During this step, ATP synthase adds phosphate group to the ADP, which change into ATP. And you must know that this is important point. For each pair of electrons which pass through the electron transport chain, a production of 3 molecules occurs, 3 molecules of ATP. So pair of electrons pass through the electron transport chain, directly 3 ATP molecules are made. The last step of this electron transport chain, of this stage or this process, the formation of water. Finally, oxygen used in this step for pick up the free electrons and the hydrogen to combine with each other, forming water, and water is given off as a waste product during this step. Okay, so today we have finished the main stages of cellular respiration, and in this video specific we explain the electron transport chain.